Welcome back to the Positive Rate Aviation Podcast, where our mission is to lead others to climb to their full potential through the lens of aviation. Here for episode 4, Chopper Style, I'm joined by Angela Morrow.
Hi, everybody.
What's going on, Angela? Welcome.
Oh,
Thanks for
thanks for having me.
absolutely, man. This has been in the works for quite some time,
Yeah, it has.
man. It's nothing like when you get to talk to another great aviator, but especially one that's one of your day ones.
Yeah, we've come a really long way, and I'm really proud of us.
Yeah, man. I was just actually talking to Craig the other day, man, and he just sent me a text. He was like, "Man, I'm just kind of laughing thinking about all of our times all together back at Shady J."
It's so weird being on like that side of the world, and then now we're over here on this
Yeah,
side.
yeah, man.
We
And
made it.
hey, and you were the trailblazer, man. You kind of paved the way for a lot of us, man. So you deserve a lot of props
I mean, I
for
had all
that.
of you guys backing me up, so it's always who's in
Always,
your corner.
yeah, always, man, for sure. Um, Yeah, man. So this is a special one because obviously, we're going on about what almost 15 years of friendship
Yep.
at this point. That's number one, and number two, you're actually my first female aviator on the pod, repping all the awesome female pilots out there.
What? It's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So we're kind of shaking it up a little bit. So
Yeah,
I'm
glad it could
excited.
be me.
Yeah, yeah. It wouldn't have been right if it wasn't, man. So
Exactly.
yeah. So yeah, right now you are currently an instructor pilot for Army Aviation. Um, so we'll of course dive a little bit more into that here shortly on what that actually entails. Um, but yeah, man, without further ado, I just kind of wanted to ask, like, what led you to a career as a pilot? Like, how did you get started? Like, what was your why essentially?
I think that's the same thing as a lot of people that join the Air Force. Um, I joined and, we had the same job working with the air crew. Originally, I wanted to be a fighter pilot, but that never came into play. I never did finish my degree. So, there's that for the Air Force.
Right.
But yeah, just, working for the air crew and talking to all of them, I'm like, I can do this too. I don't know why I'm not pursuing more. I think the first half of my career, I didn't think I was capable. Um,
Mm.
and here I am. I've been flying for about 6 years now, and helicopters, goodness, I didn't think helicopters either, but
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I was like, if I'm gonna do it, I might as well go all out.
Yeah. So where did you actually complete your initial flight training?
I did all of my training in Chandler, Arizona. The school was Quantum Helicopters, and they were wonderful. I think they've been operating for almost 30 years now,
Wow.
and
Okay.
they are very VA friendly, which is fantastic. So, GI Bill paid for all of my training,
Wow. You know what? Okay, I'm glad you said that. So let's stop right there. So pay for all your training, including private.
including private.
What loophole did you find to make that happen? Because that seems to be like a hot topic amongst a lot of people. The argument is whether or not you can or you can't get private paid for. I was not able to do it for my private. So for the people out there, like
Yes.
how are you able to actually to make that happen?
So that is a great question. I get asked that one a lot, and it's not always active. So it's dependent on the VA. The school has the 141 program, which you need along with the college. Quantum just happens to be one of the ones that has it this year. They have it most years, but they do lose it from time to time. So there are several other schools in and around Arizona that have VA friendly, but they only pay for instrument and up, or you have to come in with your private pilot's license in order to
Right.
do the VA. Quantum just happens to be one of like 5 schools at that time. This was years ago. I'm not sure if they still hold that status now. Um, but at that time, they did. Um, it is very hard though. You do have to call around, and I didn't even live in Arizona. I lived in Texas, and I dropped everything and moved to Arizona just so I could go to that flight school.
Wow. How'd you find out about them?
I called like I don't know, every single flight school that was on the VA listing. So I went on the VA website and I found 141 programs, and I literally called every single one and asked them um, who was taking the GI Bill.
Wow.
And they were the first ones to say yes to me. So I was like, all right, let's go. I'm packing
Yeah.
up everything and moving.
Yeah, I know exactly where I'm going.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. No, man, that's interesting because again, yeah, for a lot of people out there, like they don't even know that to be like really an option. And obviously getting that private pilot is that's no easy feat, right? So to even be able to have that to get your foot in the door, that can be challenged. So
It
that's
really
awesome that
is.
that's awesome that you were able to find them. And Quantum, they're pretty big because they do fixed wing as well, right? On top
They
of the rotary.
don't actually. So
Oh,
they're
okay,
helicopters only. But
okay,
they do share the airport with two other fixed wing flight schools.
okay.
And the cool thing about, say that I got my private pilot's fixed wing license, Quantum would
Hmm.
have taken me with a GI Bill, for the second half. So it's interchangeable. Like, so you have your private license on the fixed wing side.
Yeah.
So now you can go to a different school, even on the helicopter side, and get your ratings for helicopters as well
Oh wow.
via the GI Bill. Yeah. So it's pretty
Wow.
amazing. And a lot of people don't know how to use that.
Hmm.
And the resources are not friendly to use. So,
Yeah. I mean, I've been through this process twice now, going through private and obviously instrument. Well, three now because I actually just started commercial today.
yeah,
And to be honest with you, it's still like a little murky, man. I'm still having to like go back and be like, okay, how did I do this last time? They don't make it. It's not super user friendly, in my opinion.
it's not. It's not at all. And people give up.
Yeah, yeah, to track down that information. So, did you use the Montgomery or the post 9/11?
I used the post 9/11.
Okay, yeah,
And yeah, the schools they're very far and few between, but if you're able to travel, then that's really the best option. But
yeah.
like your podcast, people that are veterans can listen to it and know that there is hope and where to go to find information.
Absolutely, man. Because yeah, I don't think competence or intellect is the biggest obstacle, man. It's just awareness and access to information. You know what I mean? And kind of
Mm-hmm.
hit the nail on the head. That was really one of my main goals and visions. With this, man, was just getting it out there because I had so many hurdles to go over. And honestly, all jokes aside, you were the one that helped me really kind of navigate that in the very early stages. But if you're not lucky enough like me to have someone who's already kind of gone through the pipeline, even though you went the rotary route, still it's kind of same, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to have you to kind of help me navigate that. So, but I think we're starting to gain some traction overall, as an industry, and kind of getting that information out there, especially with the veterans transition, like you said.
Oh,
So
absolutely. Yeah, the veterans are, they don't make it easy for us to find the information, and
yeah,
it's really hard. You have to know somebody really to help you steer in the right direction. And from this podcast, if somebody finds this information and wants to contact me, absolutely, I'm always here to help. Same thing with you. I'm sure I've already sent fixed wing people to you,
yeah,
over the
right,
last year. So,
yeah, absolutely, for sure, man. So what would you say at when you were there at Quantum out there in Chandler? What would you say was your most challenging rating and why?
oh my God, it was definitely instruments. Instruments was so hard for me.
Yeah.
Um, the little helicopter that I flew, a little R-22. And you have the little blinders on, and in the dead of summer in Arizona, so the thermals were insane.
Oh my gosh.
I got so motion sick. So instruments, I got really motion sick. I didn't think I was gonna make it, and
Mm,
thankfully, I just stuck with it,
yeah.
and finally made it. But the information, is just so much different. Those entries holds were.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we kind of gotta. We're laughing for everybody that's seeing this, man. Laughing because, like Angela, speaking of holds, man. No kidding. Like I just wasn't getting holds during the instrument, and again, relationships in aviation for you guys getting started are important, and you got to have people that you can reach out to, man. And no kidding, took it back to like elementary school days. You know what I mean? She's drawing me pictures and I had her digging in her CFI bag, pulling out all the tricks, man, and no kidding, it stuck. And I don't even know if I told you this, but I actually took that and I shared that same method, the hold entry method that you showed me, and I shared that with some of my counterparts and people that I know that were going through instrument, and they hit me back like, "Yo, man, like whoever your friend is, tell her thank you, because like I get it now, like it clicked, man." So I think that's actually the first time I had the chance to tell you that. So
That's
that was
amazing.
yeah, man, it was yeah, you definitely earned your CFI cert or CFII cert with that one, man. So that was awesome.
Yeah, that was so
Okay,
hard for me. I was like, I need someone to break this down. So now I teach it that same way. I'm like, all
yeah,
right, let me draw this.
no, for
We're gonna
sure.
go through it.
Man, I'm telling you, I still have like those videos, like, and I'll go back and review them, like, just to keep the information fresh. You know what I mean? Like, if
Mm-hmm.
you're not doing it every day, if you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I teach instruments every 4 months, and I'm like, do I remember? So I go back to the videos that I have put together. I'm like, okay, yes, I do remember how to do this.
Yeah. Man, so you just made me think about something. So, I don't want to skip around too much, but being that you're now, teaching Army aviation, helicopter guys in Army aviation, like, are there a lot of like differences and disparities between when you were teaching, the civilian students as opposed to now your Army students?
It really is a very different environment. So for everyone listening, I was a CFI and I taught for 2 years on the civilian side, and it was a 141 program, so I did have a lot of veterans. But here, I teach primary, so we take people from off the street with 0 hours, and we teach them how to be Army aviators. So that's the portion that I teach, and I have a pair of two students for 4 months. I teach them pretty much their private and their instrument. Um, and I don't have to do a lot of ground instruction, which in the civilian side you do, a lot of the ground instruction.
Right.
They have their own instructors for that. So I think the hard part is they come to me after they've learned something from someone that I don't know, their actual ground
Right.
instructor,
Right.
and it contradicts what I've just taught them. So, I'll go and
Now,
teach them a method, and they're like, well, my instructor said that this is not a good method. And I'm like, is he the one flying you?
right.
Like, you're in my
Exactly.
helicopter, this is my cockpit. Like, I'm gonna teach you what your book says, not what somebody told you that does not fly anymore.
Yeah. So with that, like, how much are you all or are your students governed by like the FAA, or is it strictly like just going off of like Army regulations?
It's so different. So the Bible for civilian side is the FAR aim.
Right.
And here in the Army it's not. So they still take passages out of the FAR and the AIM,
Hmm.
but they have their own, and it's called an AR, is what they go off of.
Okay.
So our Bible here is the AR 95-1, which I was like completely lost in the sauce when I got there. I had all of
Yeah.
my books, all of my FAA, and I kind of just had to put that to the side. And now I'm teaching Army regulations, which is wild. It is so crazy.
As an Air Force veteran.
Yeah, as an Air Force veteran, I'm like cheating on the Air Force, but um it's really interesting because, the more you fly on the civilian side, you always hear Army pilots flying around, and you're like, how are they able to do that? And
Yeah.
it's because they don't fall into the same brag,
Hmm.
which is very interesting.
Right.
Yeah. And even in the FAR, you can look at it and it says, on the bottom, like, except Army Aviation. Or I'm
Right.
like, what do you mean? They have their own training routes, and
Hmm.
it's wild, learning both sides. I'm thankful for the experience on both, though.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's definitely going to make you better, I'm sure. I mean, it'd only make you better overall as a pilot, right? Kind of getting that, being able to see
Yeah,
kind of both sides, getting that exposure.
it is. Yeah, the exposure on both sides. Not, I didn't even know this side really existed. I thought that, when an Army person came in and flew through the Grand Canyon, I'm like, well, that's illegal. What are they doing? Their radio
Yeah.
calls are terrible, and
Hmm.
now I'm here. I'm like, oh,
Like, I get it now.
I get it. Yeah, okay.
So would you say any training or skills you learned like while you were in the military translated to learning to fly during your kind of your initial like primary training?
I think the organization definitely. And you can probably attest to that, but in the military you have to really learn how to put what's important first.
Hmm.
You got a lot of tasks and you have to put the most important one at the very top, especially in like a deployed environment. Especially now you're, of higher rank. Um, and you're like, okay, what is what is what is dire? I need to be able to what is that called? Like a time management. You have to
Yeah.
be able to time manage. Everything's important, but this is the most important. And I think being in the military really helped put that together, especially
Hmm.
at the stressful situations. Um, we've been in a lot of different stressful situations than flying. You never know what's going to happen next. And I think keeping calm
Hmm.
was really helpful. That translated from the military.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. You just made me think about something. My very first stage check, like you talked about part 141, right? So I was in private pilot training and I was going up for my first stage check, and the guy that was the Czech airman, he's a former Navy fighter pilot. Um, so it was funny because like you go through the ground portion, you do your oral right before you get out to the aircraft. Super nice guy, chill, like went through the thing like no problems, and then we get to the plane and we get airborne, and I don't know, he's like giving me tasks and things to do. And this is early on, right? Stage check one, and I think like I wasn't like maintaining my heading or altitude or something like that. And like, dude just like flipped the switch. He's like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, like completely. And I'm just kind of like, "Whoa!" Like, okay, but in my mind, I'm kind of like, like I don't know. But then moral of the story, we get back, we land, like we're debriefing. He's like, "Man, you did good overall." He's like, one thing I can say, man, is you kept your cool up there. I'm just like, man, I did, because in my head I was freaking out. Like, he's like, yeah, you kept your cool now. And then he's like, but I'm sure being a military veteran, that has something to do with it. So I was just like, yeah, man, I guess so.
Yeah, you
But
gotta
it's like,
keep a cool head, but yeah,
yeah,
I don't like that method of training. I don't like that.
yeah. But those military, those fighter pilots, as we know, we've been around a lot of them, and
Yeah,
you know, they tend to be a different breed.
it is, yeah, I hear a lot of stories, and I definitely don't fit the mold over here in the Army for instructor pilot, but, I get a lot of the guys that I work with, they were like, yeah, I went through Army aviation and they'd be smoking in the helicopter and they'd be yelling at me
Wow.
and they like did nothing. They didn't have a normal conversation. It was just yelling like the whole time. Like, how can you possibly learn like that?
I guess that's how you weed. I guess they weed those guys out that way.
I mean, I still work with some men that are in their 80s
Wow.
and they were literally flew in Nom.
Oh my god. And
Yeah.
they're still actively like flying
And they are
today, or
actively flying today. Yeah, just like a bunch of badasses. And I'm like, how are y'all still doing this? I don't
they'll
understand.
they'll probably tell you it's because they were able to smoke cigarettes for so long.
That's probably exactly right.
So what was that transition like, man, from going from being in the military to just immersed in aviation full time?
That was really a difficult transition. Separating from the military, it's never an easy thing, especially if you don't have a solid plan. I did not have a solid plan when I separated from the Air Force. As you know, I became a flight attendant first.
Hmm.
So I didn't think that I could go full aviation. Still doubted myself a bit, so I did become a flight attendant. And I'm very thankful for that job because it put me in place to meet all these veteran pilots that use their GI Bill um, and put me on the right path. So thankfully, I had these people, and I still talk to them today. They still help me. Um, Especially one. I think I let you talk to him. His name is Dwayne Quick, but
Yeah.
he works at FedEx now, and he is killing it. But yeah, that transition was really hard. I think for a whole year, I just felt like I was just floating, like lost.
Mm.
And, until I finally found an aviation program Um, that was like solid. I didn't feel like I had to switch schools all the time. I was really immersed. The school was amazing,
Yeah.
and I felt just at home again.
Yeah. Um, so with that, man, when you did the flight attendant thing, how much were you able to learn or take away from those pilots, and did they kind of steer you towards the helicopter route, or was that something that you kind of were like, I really, if I do this, I know that I want to fly helicopter.
Oh, it's so funny. All of them were like, Angela, do not go helicopters. You will regret it. Don't do it. And they tried talking me out of it, the whole time.
Yeah.
Um, and I was like, no, this will be fun. This is going to be great. And then for a little while, I was like, I made a huge mistake. I should have gone airplanes, like helicopters. This isn't working. And one thing is airplanes, fixed wing guys, they make way more than any helicopter person ever will. Like we cap out pretty low, compared to, of course, like FedEx and UPS.
Right.
Um, and thankfully, because I still have GI Bill, I will get my transitions, and then um, it'll be a nice like retirement job, I think, if I go
Yeah.
to airlines.
Yeah, for sure. And that would that be kind of like accelerated training given your experience already in aviation?
Yeah, so I can just get an add-on rating, which is really nice. I would just go get my commercial add-on and then a multi-engine um, on top of that. So already having my licenses, I don't have to take the writtens again.
Oh wow.
Um, some
Okay.
of the hours are not, you don't have to. Um, you don't have to do some of the solo hours, some of the cross-country hours. I cannot remember because I've been in, the Army regs for so
Yeah.
long. I had to
Yeah.
look over that, but I don't think it's very much. Same thing for you to get your if you wanted to go once you get your commercial license, if you wanted to switch over and get your commercial helicopter or even your private helicopter,
Yeah.
same thing. They take those cross country times and it really shortens that program.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say that I'd be 100% opposed to it. Like when that time comes, you know what I mean? Like probably a little bit later on in life, but nah. I mean, that's something I'd be interested in doing.
Yeah, I just want to learn how to at least, I mean, I obviously want to go that route, but for now I want to learn how to at least land an airplane in case I'm with somebody and something happens. You definitely want to be safe.
Yeah, probably not a bad idea.
Yeah.
No, man, that's awesome. So, so I know that they kind of told you not to. So, what do you think you kind of pursued the helicopter route? Not necessarily out of spite, but was it kind of like, well, they told me not to do it. Did you take it like as a challenge? Like, do you think that's kind of maybe why you did that?
No, so originally I did want to go fixed wing. When I first became a flight attendant, I was like, this is great. I love the traveling. I love all of this. And then I'd sit in the cockpit all the time, and um, I was like, wow, I'm kind of bored. Like this is great, and this is kind of scary, but like I'm kind of bored.
Hmm.
So I think I still needed adrenaline is what I needed.
Okay.
Originally I wanted to go like do police helicopters or border patrol helicopters, um, firefighting. I wanted some adrenaline. It might have been the airline company though, because the company that I worked for, we only did like transatlantic. So I was in this airplane for like 18 hours at a
Oh,
time.
yeah, yeah,
um, different countries, and I was like dying. I was
yeah,
so tired all the time. I'm like, I can't do this. This is killing me.
yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
if I worked for like American and did feasible 4 days,
Like
that would,
domestic, pretty much just domestic trips.
yes,
Like,
yes.
yeah, Dallas to Phoenix to Seattle and back,
Right.
something like that.
Not like from here to Germany.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was killed me.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Um, so you went from being a flight attendant, you went through the training, all the way up to getting your all the way through the kind of through the pipeline, if you will, private instrument, commercial, CFI, got your double I.
Hmm.
So kind of, how was that experience as a civilian instructor? Like, kind of talk to me about that. How long did you instruct, and what was that experience like?
I actually really loved being an instructor. whenever I finished at my flight school, they hired me on as an instructor. And I started with 4 private students, so that was kind of wild. All 141 as well. Um, but it was so tiring. You never really know. CFIs, they don't make much money. They yeah. You were making bottom dollar as a CFI, and
which is
I
crazy,
it's so crazy. And you
man.
can only
Like,
fly 8 hours a day. And you're like,
yeah,
what can
yeah.
I
My instructor told me that, man. I'm just like, man, like for a job that's like so dangerous, you know what I mean? Like you would think that, you know,
Yeah, it is.
like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we barely got paid anything. And, I had 4 students, and because it was 141, I had to finish all of them. They all had to get
mm,
their hours. So I'd
yeah,
fly 4 people back to back. So I'd like barely have a chance to drink any, because you can't bring, water inside of a R-22. There's nowhere to put it. So, in between students, I'd be like absolutely dying in the heat of Phoenix, Arizona. It's 150 degrees outside, and
man,
not having
yeah,
any water, barely being able to eat in between, and but I loved it.
yeah, yeah. So you just did. How long did you do that for?
I did that for 2 years.
Okay. Now was that
Yeah.
until you reached? Is that was that you kind of shooting for 1500?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I went for actually I worked there until I hit 1,000, a little over 1,000 hours. But it was a weird time because COVID was in between there, and the flight school
Okay.
shut down for a month, and it was just a really weird. It was a really weird time.
Hmm.
So I got my 1,000 hours, and then I went up to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
But yeah, instructing, I loved it. I loved the people. I loved being able to like teach the knowledge. I loved seeing people go from like not being able to do anything in a helicopter to getting it. The click
Yeah.
really still does. I still love to see the transition. Like, wow, you didn't know how to do anything a week ago, and now you can like keep this thing the greasy side down.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, how, did it ever get easier sending guys to solo, like for their first solo, like your private students, or was it
Oh my
every
God.
time? Was it still like nerve wracking?
It is so nerve-wracking. I still teach now, and um now it's wild. Before I sent, somebody in this tiny little rickety lawnmower helicopter on solo, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
And now I send 2 students at the same time solo. So now there's 2 people that can barely fly the aircraft, up front. They both have controls, and they're like in a
Oh,
multi-million-dollar aircraft.
that is insane.
Yeah, I'm like,
Wow.
it's just wild. The progression is wild.
Yeah, and they're expected to just get it like much faster, right? Because the
Yes.
army needs these guys to fill these positions.
Yeah, and they solo at the same time as other people soloing. They like solo 3 at a time. And I'm just like, I just like look at the patterns, and I'm like, please don't hit them. Please
Oh my
speed
god.
up. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
don't settle into these trees. Like, just get up on, but they have now it's not as nerve-wracking because it's a stable helicopter.
Yeah.
Um, and it has dual engines. So like I'm like, okay, even if they lost an engine, they'd be okay. You know?
Yeah. So are you guys practicing autos as like one of your first main things to prep them to go in solo?
Yeah, we have to teach them autos, at least at least to semi kind of get how to do an auto. But
Okay.
they're not too particular on it in these helicopters just because it is multi-engine. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
um
That.
so now they wait really until I think before when they were flying, I think it was the TH-67, which was just a single engine Bell helicopter. They had to do a pretty decent auto before they went solo. Um, and now it's solo, and then we teach them how to really get into autos.
Gotcha. Okay. Man, that's what's up. Um. So, in your opinion, is that like a better way of time building, as opposed to like your traditional like low time pilot jobs? By instructing, I mean, like, do you think that's a
I
better like
really
avenue?
think, yeah. So I always tell people, you know, nothing to do with aviation. I'm like, you should do 4 years in the military. I say that to everybody. Like, whoever you are, you should spend 4 years in the military. just for, your personal life. I think it makes you a better person. The skills that you learn from it, just in general, 4 years in the military. And then same thing for now with aviation. I think that everyone should instruct. Um, like I went through private through double I, and I was like, I can fly. Yeah, this is fine. And then I realized that like I don't know shit, until I
Yeah.
actually started flying other people. I was like, wow, I really don't know anything. And it
Hmm.
wasn't until like 500 hours after being an instructor, like 5 hours of instruction given, that I was finally like, oh my God, I really know how to fly a helicopter now, But I still have this revelation because at my 1,000 hour mark, I was like, wow, I didn't know how to do anything at 500 hours. And then at 1,500 hours, I was like, I didn't know how to do anything at 1,000 hours.
1,000 hours. It's funny how it
Yeah,
happens like that. Yeah.
it's wild. Like you think but I think teaching other people is very, very rewarding. And from all the people that have ever hired me, um, they can tell. They can tell who was just a commercial pilot and who instructed.
Mm.
So, they
Except
just
from
said,
like from the, I'm sorry, I mean to cut you
"Oh no,
off.
no, go ahead."
And when you say they can tell, is that you meaning from a standpoint of like the interview or just like your skills? Like no kidding, like at the
Your
table.
actual skills. So,
Okay.
well, it's
Okay.
both. It's the ground knowledge, right? So, like as a CFI, you always have to teach regulations. You're always teaching everything, and you have to keep up with what's changed. And as a commercial pilot, you don't.
Hmm.
Um, and then yeah, same thing with your skills. So whenever you get your commercial, and if you just fly commercial, you can fly, but it really hones in like your control touch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
it's interesting.
yeah, and I'll be honest, man. You know, again, obviously going through the 141 program, CFI is kind of like the next step after commercial. I wasn't too crazy about the idea of instructing just because, well, for one, like you said, the pay, which really isn't a huge deal, but it's kind of like, I'm going out here every day, essentially with, guys and girls that are trying to kill me
Mm-hmm.
for pennies. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So it's like I have to try to like not die like all day every day and like hardly get paid. But I have yourself and then some of my previous instructors kind of all kind of said the same thing in regards to that. As far as just makes you overall better, your knowledge. It's like not even comparable to like your counterparts that are interviewing the same time as you that were your regular, just kind of run of the mill, commercial pilots. So it's definitely something
Yeah.
to consider for anyone out there that's not necessarily too crazy about instructing. I guess we could challenge them essentially to maybe reconsider.
Yeah, I didn't want to instruct either, at all. I did not want to do it. I was 100% sold that I was not going to do it. Um, and they offered me the job and I was like, okay, let's try this. Let's do it.
Yeah,
And I'm so glad I did because, it brought out so many different things that I didn't know that I could do, things that I didn't think I was capable of, such as saving an aircraft with the wrong control input. But I think if I were to be in an actual emergency situation now, um, just being an instructor has really helped, stay calm. You have to stay calm. Um, and I did. I had an emergency in the helicopter, one of the helicopters here, sometime last year, and I was like, okay, let me. I'm an instructor. I can't freak out in front of my students.
right, right.
And I think that really, really helped doing that in the civilian world.
Yeah, could you see the fear in your student or
Oh my God,
were
they were completely frozen.
wow? I guess to an extent, kind of to be expected, right?
Yeah, yeah, and especially they don't really know what's going on yet, and
Yeah.
um, we were in the clouds too, so
Ah, okay.
you just gotta be ready for everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm the only one that knows what's going on right now.
Yeah.
I have to
Man,
keep it together.
the gravity of that, man.
It's
Yeah.
scary, yeah. And then of course, in the middle of it, I'm trying to like give them jobs to do, to like ease my workload.
Right.
And it's kind of funny. I laugh about it now, but yeah, they took me. I was on with center,
Hmm.
and I made a pan call to center, and then my student took me off the radio with them. They switched me, so they thought I don't know. They probably thought that I died, but they kept on trying to get a hold of me to like send people out of the airspace, and I couldn't get a hold of ATC.
Oh
Um,
God.
yeah, I was like, I can hear him, and I'm trying to respond, and she took me off the radio, and I'm like, oh my God.
Wow. You're like, I'm gonna need you to never do that again.
Yeah, but she's trying to help. I'm trying to give them jobs. I'm like, I need you to do this and this so I can fly.
Wow.
Um, and then once it ended up just being it was nothing. It was an electrical issue.
Mm.
So it was giving me I don't know what they have in the airplane. I think it'd be similar to like maybe a stall horn.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so mine was like a low rotor. I had a low rotor. My horn was going off, and I
Gotcha.
lost my screens. So I was like,
Mm.
oh my God, did I lose my engines? But
Yeah,
after,
dang.
diagnosing it, I was like, I can still hear my engines. I'm fine.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, and like to your point, man, had you not, had as much experience as you did troubleshooting and actually teaching this stuff and really knowing your systems, in and out, you could have potentially had a different outcome. So
Oh
that's
yeah,
huge.
yeah.
That's
If
huge.
I didn't, if I lost my rotor, I probably would have entered an auto. Um, if I did not know better, but I'm like, okay, no. I got to
Yeah,
diagnose, even though this is telling me I don't have any engines. I do.
yeah. When that happened, were you like near any terrain or was it relatively flat?
No, this happened to be I was on an IFR flight plan, so that part was not great because um
Mm,
we are in the clouds and I have
yeah,
this issue. So I'm like, okay, this is horrible. Not good, but like we just descended and we popped right out. So that was
okay,
fine. But
yeah,
yeah, I was like, okay, I just need to like listen and figure out what is going on. Because you never know, electrical, your gauges that they tell you to know if it's failing, what does this look like? So you don't put yourself in a worse scenario.
exactly. Man, well, I'm glad that you were able to stay cool, calm, and collective, man.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
had a little situation, didn't you?
you talking about the seat rail thing?
I
You
think
talking about that?
so.
When I when I think I told you about that one when I was early on in my private and we were practicing stalls and
Yes.
my instructor, yeah, that was a trip, man. So um, Dave, man, he was my primary flight instructor for private. I actually had him on episode one, but early on, one of the first lessons where you go up and you're practicing power on and power off stalls and super like nose high attitude, like waiting for the full break. And yeah, man, his seat like completely. I don't know what happened, but the seat slides like all the way back, and I'm like a 2 hour like student pilot. And thankfully, though, man, like I had really been studying like my sporties, ground school. So just I guess I just reverted to that training subconsciously. Like I don't know, and I, nose forward, applied the right rudder and was able to avoid a potential like spin situation. But yeah, early on, I mean, looking at it now, like obviously it's nothing that would really be that alarming or too alarming. But at that point in time, it was pretty terrifying,
Yeah, I mean, things
honestly.
can go south so fast.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, man, and I remember something you told me once that I think it might have been after I talked to you about that just always stuck with me, man. You just said, that's why that right there is why you have to always know, your EPs, you
Yeah,
know your EPs in and out, man. Just skills and knowledge that you hope you never have to use, but obviously if you do, like you'll be ready.
exactly. Yeah, I can never stress that enough. And I get students today still, and they don't know their EPs, they don't know their limits, and I'm
Hmm.
like, you're gonna kill yourself. You
Yeah.
you need to know what to do in these advanced airframes.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think in a way, man, that's why I'm a little anxious but excited to be getting to the point of commercial, right? Because you go through private, and that's kind of when you don't know anything. You're kind of
Mm-hmm.
learning. You're just learning the basics, right? You don't know what you don't know. But then you go to instrument, and you're just kind of not that you don't focus or you still review your emergency procedures, but you're so focused on trying to learn how to enter those holds or make the right radio call and read the approach plate that, at least for me,
Exactly.
I felt like I kind of lost some of that those fundamentals
Mm-hmm.
that you learn from your VFR, flight training, and then now getting back to commercial. I'm kind of excited to get back to that because I know that I need to hone a lot more of that in because I'm guilty, man. After going through IFR, even now, like I'll fly like across country or something for fun, and I catch myself. I'm like, I need to look outside. I was so like
Yep.
used to being trained to like lock in on my instruments that it'll be like clear in a million, like sunny day, but I'm like focused on like my PFD or, I'm like
Mm-hmm.
looking inside and, I'll be like, oh man, I need to make sure I'm actually like looking around for traffic. So yeah,
Yeah, it's especially like in, different airspaces with Echo, even over here, like we're under an MOA and there
mhm.
are aircraft not talking to anybody. Um just, okay, there was an aircraft literally not talking to center or ATC or anybody, not even the other traffic. They were flying an instrument approach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we're getting vectored in to actually fly this instrument approach. And it diverted three of us because this guy was just doing patterns, just holding. Um, so there's like three Army helicopters unable, and they're just like, oh, go
Wow.
this way, this way, this way. And this guy, because it's Echo, so he's all over
Yeah.
the place. Yeah.
He came up with his own missed instructions.
Yes. Yeah, we're like, oh my God. So you never know, and he didn't even pop
Wow.
up in my ADSB. So
Oh my goodness. That's
yeah.
terrifying, man.
It is. So I'm like looking at my iPad. I'm like, I don't even see this man.
Yeah. It's almost like when you get those, like when your ADSB is like ghosting, you get like the ghost to like notifications. So you're like looking around
Yeah.
and you know what I mean? Dude, I hate that. I mean, every time I'm like, even though I know there's nobody there though, it's still like, that'll get your heart pumping. Like when you get that like pop up and you're
hmm
like, okay, where's he at? I don't see him. I know he's not there, but yeah, that guy's an idiot, man. Like, yeah,
Oh,
you
it's
kind of see
wild.
that. You kind of see that out here a little bit too, man. There's so many small, like little, small airfields around here, where you got guys like flying around in like Piper Cubs, like not talking to
hmm
anybody. Like, not that they have to, but it's kind of like, even though you don't have to, like, why wouldn't you?
Why
Not on,
wouldn't you?
like, not only for other people, but it's like I don't want to die myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it doesn't make any sense to me. Why you would not use your resources, but then again, they might not even know how to. So,
Yeah, yeah. And that's one thing I can appreciate about like my experience with 141, and specifically flying out of the Delta that I've flown out of is it's a super like professional environment, right? So like you're getting a lot of that like early on things that'll stick with you forever. Such as proper like radio communications. Man, not to knock on like any 61 or like mom and pop, quote unquote mom and
right.
pop schools out there, but there's a difference that I've noticed in my short time in aviation.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, I don't know, 61 you always see, it's like the Cowboys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what I mean. So I mean that's what we the wild wild west. You know what I mean.
hmm
So no, yeah, you're exactly right. Um, so aside from like what you're doing now, or something similar to like your job, with Army Aviation, what are some other like common long term career paths for like a rotary wing pilot? Um, because I know you kind of alluded to it before, as far as like the disparity between in pay between your airplane and helicopter guys. So like long term, what is career options do guys typically look to do in that world?
So I think if you want to go helicopter, you have to really like helicopters, right? Um, just because the pay is just not there.
Yeah.
And some jobs, yeah, you can really make it work for you, but I'd say for people wanting to fly helicopters, it's going to be firefighting, it's going to be police helicopters. What is another one that people really like to do? Oh, long line training, so like utility work.
Oh, okay.
So that's a huge one. And it's really difficult to get those hours in the civilian world. They want you to like, come to a company that you already have that experience, but it's really hard to get that experience.
Hmm.
Unless you were like prior military.
Right. Right. What
So,
about medevac?
oh yeah, medevac. People love medevac. I know a lot of guys that love it. I also know a lot of guys that really hate it.
Really?
Um, and I don't know if I could do medevac. Just looking at like especially the weather conditions that they fly in and then landing on a roof
That's
with
true.
like no visibility and
Yeah.
terrible weather and you have somebody like dying in your helicopter. Um, maybe like 10 years ago that would have been really, really fun for me, but
Yeah.
I can't picture myself doing that
Yeah.
these days.
Yeah. It probably takes a special kind of individual to be able to do something like that.
It really it it's got to take something, but
Yeah.
it's not something that I have anymore, so like
Yeah. I got
okay.
you.
Yeah.
So do you have any, I can't believe I've never actually asked you this. Do you have any fixed wing time?
I do. I have a little over 50 hours.
Okay. Shoot.
Yeah, and like a Piper, a Cessna, and then I have like 20 multi-engine hours.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Yeah. Did I do anything with it? No. And it's also been like well over a year since I've flown an airplane, but um, it is on my list. There's a flight school here that takes the GI Bill.
Yeah.
I just haven't done it yet. It's really
You,
hard when you get a new job. Like I've
yeah.
only been at this job for a little over a year, and it took me an entire year um, to feel comfortable. So
Like with the aircraft itself or just in general, like with the unit, the job, the people, like all of that.
yeah, all of it. So
Yeah.
um, there's I don't know if you've ever looked at the airspace down here,
I haven't,
but you
no.
should. Yeah, if you
What's
look
the
at
what's
the
the what's
identifier,
the identifier? Yeah.
KOZR. Yeah, Kilo Oscar. Um, I was gonna say something ridiculous, but Zulu and Romeo.
Yep. Okay, got
But
you. Yep.
it's only during, the times that we're flying, so like 8 in the morning to like 5 p.m. It is absolute chaos over here.
Hmm.
There's four stage fields just for the UH-72, but the Apache helicopters training school is here. The Air
Okay.
Force Hueys are here. Black Hawk training is here. Chinook flight training is here. So everyone's just kind of like dodging each other in the air.
Yeah.
And it's insane. Just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking at all the whew, yeah, tons of military activity going on down there.
Yeah, it's,
Wow.
I know. Yeah, I'll have to send you some pictures of it. Um, I'm just like, how can anyone do this? But now I finally got it. And now that I'm comfortable, I just didn't want to go start something else when I wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, you had to get. I mean, and it was a lot to learn, like you kind of said earlier, man. With just the army regulations, like in itself, I can imagine like how how challenging that must have been.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely want to do good at my job. So I was like, okay, I can't wear myself thin. I have to
Yeah,
get this first, even though it takes, it took me a year, but it finally happened.
yeah, for sure. So what's next for you, man?
What is next? I plan on staying here for a while. I really, really like this company. They treat you really well. I didn't think that I would be treated very fairly here. Um, I'm like one of two female pilots, instructor pilots,
Right.
for the Lakota. So I did not think that I would get treated well here, and I do. I love it. The people are fantastic. The benefits are good. Um, and I really like what I do. Just it's so nice. Some of my first students, they actually just graduated from their advanced airframe, the Black Hawk,
Okay.
last week, and they invited me to their
Wow.
graduation and to pin their wings, and I was like, wow,
Oh shoot.
like
Yeah,
they did
that's
it.
special. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty. I know you were a proud mama over there,
Oh
man.
my
Mama
gosh, I
bear.
was so proud. And I
Wow.
was like, this is incredible. And they're gonna take what I taught them
Yeah,
their
man.
whole life, and
And apply that to the real world, man. Take it to the
yeah,
fight. That's what it's about.
Exactly. And I'm like, okay, so I plan on staying here for a while. I will get my fixed wing license, and then, if I do change from this job, it will be the airlines.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now I'm really, for the first time ever, I'm stable. And
Well, yeah,
that is great.
you sound you sound happy, man, and I'm happy for you. I didn't, I never doubted that you would be doing the great things that you're doing. None of this surprises me. You've taught me more than what you know, so it's only up from here for you. I know that without a doubt in my mind. So yeah, hats
Yeah,
off
I
to
hope
you.
so. I think we're gonna be great.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, so yeah, just to kind of switch gears, man. That's really the main things I kind of wanted to hit on with you tonight. But like I said, to kind of switch gears to get ready to wrap this up, we'll get to the little segment here that I like to call the cleared for the option. So basically, with this, man, it's just kind of like something fun, little game I like to play for anyone that's listening or watching this out there. Kind of get to know you a little bit with aviation and kind of get your take on things. It's just kind of a little fun game to play, compare contrast. So yeah. With that being said, yeah, you're clear for the option. So first thing that comes to mind, you can kind of explain it, expand on it if you want to, but you don't have to. But part 141 or 61.
Ooh, 141.
Yeah, I kind of figured I know the answer to that one. VFR or IFR?
Oh, that's tough. It's gonna be VFR though.
Okay, I respect it. Um, Man, you might be mad at me for this one. Instructing in the civilian, like civilian students, or instructing military students.
Ooh, so it has to be military because the if I say something off
Yeah,
kilter
yeah,
to
yeah.
the civilian
I got
side.
you. I got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to set you up. That was my bad. I'm setting you up for failure right there. My bad. Um, what's your least favorite part of instructing? And that covers everything, like civilian, just in general as an instructor. What's your least favorite part?
Oh man, my least favorite part is when I tell my student one thing 100 times, 50 different ways, and then they go fly with another instructor and they're like, "Ma'am, how come you didn't teach me this?" And I'm like, "I'm about to kick you out of this helicopter." You know?
Yeah, yeah. I
I
thought you
hate
were
that.
gonna. I thought you were gonna say when you ask a student like something that they should have reviewed, and you ask them like, "Hey, did you study?" And they just give you that blank look, like, yeah."
Yeah, that's another good one. But oh.
What is your? So that was your least. So what is your favorite? What is your favorite part of instructing? You probably talked about it
It's the
already, but
reward. Yeah, it's just when they finally get it,
yeah,
there's just nothing like it. It's like seeing your kid walk for the first time, you know?
yeah, yeah, for sure, absolutely. What's your favorite helicopter ever made?
Oh my God, that's hard. I I don't know.
The old Robbie 44, baby.
And
No, that's
I
literally
really I don't know.
That's that's literally the only helicopter I know. That's why I said that. What did I yeah, what did I fly on when I was out there at the canyon when you were working out
There
there?
was a Bell 206 Long Ranger.
206. Okay. That was
Yes.
a man, sorry to get off topic. I don't mean to cut you off. That thing was moving. Like I don't know why. Like I just didn't expect like I mean, we were hauling, Like I was like, okay, I like this.
Yeah, well, it's just being like 2 feet off the trees, you know?
Yeah, well that was it too. I was like, sheesh, like this is crazy. Like literally like right off the ground, like just rolling. But man, that was an experience. Do you miss those? Do you miss those views?
I miss them so much.
Man, they like just think like at one point in time that was your office looking out, seeing the
Ugh,
Grand Canyon every day. Like,
I
man,
know.
that was amazing.
Yeah,
Um
it's there's nothing here. There's nothing here.
Roll Tide. Uh Favorite airplane ever made.
God, I don't know anything about airplanes.
Oh, come on, man.
I don't know anything about airplanes.
All right, just say the G550.
Sure, the G550. That
All
one's
right.
beautiful.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Um, all right, man. So, lastly, what's the biggest piece of advice to anyone that's listening or watching right now that is interested in pursuing a career as a heli pilot? What would you tell
Um, man, it's definitely possible. If I can do it, you can do it. Um, you gotta put in the effort and get a good crowd of people. Definitely ask questions, you know. I get a lot of people that they just automatically think they're the best and they don't ask any questions, but still to this day, you know, I'm always asking questions. Just keep on doing it. If you want to pursue it, there is so many resources. I can be one of those resources as well. And if you have any questions, contact me.
Yeah, where can they hit you? Where can they hit you up at? Where can people find you? What's the best way to contact you if they choose to do so for professional advice?
Um, that is a fantastic question.
We'll
That's a
iron
good
that out.
question.
We'll iron that out later.
Yeah,
But she's on socials, but we'll figure that out. But no, that's awesome. Definitely good advice to give. Jason Shepard says a good pilot's always learning. So
that's right.
that kind of just aligns with everything you just said. So, but yeah, with that, man, yeah, cleared the land. So, so you passed, man. Thank you. But no, all jokes aside, man, this was awesome. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was so good to catch up to you, like
Yeah,
family for life.
yeah, absolutely. We this won't be it, man. If you ever, maybe we'll kind of do like a check in here in the near future to kind of see how things are going. We'll check in with you and see how the life as an instructor is gone or going for you in the near future.
Sounds good.
But yeah, man, thanks a lot. We'll kind of hop off here. We'll do like a little debrief, so don't go anywhere. But yeah, with that, man, thanks again, and I'm looking forward to this coming out.
All right. Thanks everyone for listening.
All righty, thank you.